Shalom, my Israelite brothers and sisters. So first of all praises to our Elohim and to his only begotten son, Yehoshua. Now from the picture that you see here, y'all already know the dealio. You already know what's up. We're going to be talking about the movie Black Panther. Now I saw this movie Thursday night, and I'm going to tell you something, Saints. This was a damn good movie and a ton of coded messages. Now I'm going to be talking about a lot of it in this discussion. Now I'm excited about it too, man. So I want to see if you all picked out some of the things that I've picked out, and I've noticed a lot of things in this movie, and I'm going to try to cover every detail of it. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot that was pointing to who we are as a people and all about our people and the difference between the Hamites and the Israelites. But we're going to be pointing that out, though, in this movie. So, but before we go any further, I just want to say this. If you haven't seen the movie Black Panther, don't watch this discussion because I'm going to be revealing some things and it's going to give everything away. So I'm going to give you a spoiler alert that we're going to be talking about all the things in this movie that points to Israel. So I would stop the movie here and just go watch the movie and then come back to this channel and watch it later. So that way you can get the points that we're bringing out here. Just want to give some kudos to Ryan Coogler, the director of the Black Panther movie, which in my opinion is by far the best action movie ever made. Now, critics are saying that Civil War was the best, even though it was supposedly going on around the same time as Black Panther. But by far, this is the best. And see, this is why when you allow a Hebrew director to direct a movie, you know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be the best. And this brother, he did a really good job. But like I said earlier, there's a lot of things in this movie that points to who we are as a people. And I can't wait to start getting into that. And we're going to talk about a lot. So I just wanted to give this brother his credit where credit is due, because this was well worth the watch. And I'll probably end up going back again later on to see it. Now, the reason why I'm saying that this movie is the best action movie, in my opinion, ever made, because it is the only movie that really points, that has so many pointers to who we are as a people. Because when you think about other movies that were made that pointed to who we are, they didn't have as much. But when you look at this one, you're going to really see, it's like plain in our faces, like just straight up. So the people, the powers that be, they know who we are. And they're putting it all in these movies, and especially this one. They really went out the door with this one. All right, Saints, let's go ahead and start getting into the meat of this movie. Now, I'm just letting y'all know we're going to be hitting this movie very hard from an Israelite perspective, because there's a lot of pointers in here, and we're going to be going back and forth throughout the movie. And I'm going to be using a lot of pictures because I'm a very visual person. And so these pictures are going to help me with my memory points, because there's a lot of things I want to bring out. But let's start off with this chariot scene. Now, did y'all notice in the beginning, if those of you who watched the movie, in the very beginning, you had the little kids playing basketball out in the basketball court. And one of the kids looked up and they saw like this light. It was kind of mixed in with the clouds. It was pretty tight the way they did that, though. That was super tight. And it was just zooming in, and all of a sudden it just kind of faded away and everything. Now, I find this very interesting, and especially this movie coming out after the signing of the H.R. 1242, indicating the 400 years of slavery coming to an end. Now, notice that it begins with a 12. Now, you know that's not coincident. They put that 12 in there on purpose. And see, the Most High is getting ready to deliver his people. But guess what the Most High is going to deliver his people with? It's going to be with chariots. I'm going to prove it to you. All right, let's hit a few scripts here. So let's go to Psalms chapter 104 and verse 3. And it says, "Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh up the wings of the wind." That's deep, brothers and sisters. Let's get another one. Look at Psalms 68 and verse 17. And it says, the chariots of Elohim are 20,000, even thousands of angels. Elohim is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. Now we're talking about billions of years of technology like never seen before. And people are like, man, America got some technology. America ain't got nothing. The whole world ain't got nothing on y'all's technology, brothers and sisters. It is simply amazing. Let's go to the next one. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, 1 through 2. Now, this is going to be interesting because when he comes back with all his chariots and his angels, people are going to be going crazy. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. You mean he's coming back for these niggas? You mean he's coming back for these no good jokers? You gotta be kidding me. Yeah, they're gonna be going crazy. Let's look at Mark chapter 13 and verse 27. It says, and then shall he send his angels, get that, saints, and then shall he send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. We're talking about seeing thousands of chariots coming from the east to the west, just swooping up y'all's chosen people. It's going to be a hell of a sight, brothers and sisters. It's going to be a scene out of this world, and I mean literally out of this world. So getting back to the movie Black Panther, when that chariot scene in the beginning was a representation of Yah's chariots coming to deliver his people. We're using the chariots to deliver his people because that's what's going to be used, or that's what we're going to see, because mankind cannot explain that kind of technology. Now, you do have some man-made ones that the government has been trying to fake, but these heathens, they always try to fake everything. They faked the moon landing, and now they're attempting to fake the Mars journey. These heathens, they can never do anything on their own. They cannot do anything without our knowledge. And I'm going to tell you a secret. Do you know that the top scientists in the world are actually so-called black people? But they're not going to tell you this because they got them hidden. Just like the astronauts. All the success that these heathens have ever made was because of our people. But they put our people in the back burner and they put them in a corner somewhere and just keep them quiet, And their mentality is, okay, we're going to pay you lots of money, but we're going to take the credit for your ideas. This is what they do, y'all. This is what they've done for thousands of years. There's nothing new under the sun. Now, we're going to move on, but we're going to come back and talk about these chariots because I literally had dreams, brothers and sisters, of chariots of the Most High, like coming down and destroying the world armies. I mean, it was so surreal. I mean, it was crazy. But there's something else I want to bring out in this movie, if y'all noticed it. Now, notice the throne chair that T'Challa is sitting in. Notice how it's shaped. Notice the shape of it because I'm going to bring something out. And when I saw this in the movie, I was like, wow, it reminded me of something. It brought something to mind because some of you might not be old enough to remember this, but I'm going to bring it out here in a minute. But look at the way his chair is shaped. It's almost like a circular shape, kind of going around. And you can see some of the writing at the bottom. It almost looks Hebrew in a sense. And I'm going to give you another angle at this picture because I really want you to see it for yourself. So check this one out. Check this next one out. This other one gives them a little more close-up shot. And you can see a little more detail in it. He's closer up. Look how that chair is round and look how it goes up and it arches around his head. It's very similar to something that I'm getting ready to show you. And it blew my mind because, see, Hollywood, they know what they're doing when they do stuff. Anything that they do in these movies, they don't just do it because it just looks good. They do it for a reason. They're trying to make a point of what's going on. Now, watch this. I'm going to show y'all something. There is a reason why I wanted to show you all the shape of this chair, this throne chair he was sitting in. Now, this next picture you're going to see, look to your far left. That man's name is Huey P. Newton. He was the Black Black Panther mastermind of the whole Black Panther movement and started. So you see how Hollywood loves to portray our people, and they're comparing the movement with the Black Panther movement. They're using the same throne chair. See, I'm gonna tell you something. Now, the heathens were always afraid of so-called black movements. Let me tell you why. It wasn't the fact that they were scared of them just physically. It was because of the reuniting of so-called black people. That's what scared the hell out of heathens, and even to this day, it still scares them. Now, as we're coming together as a people, as we're waking up and we're getting back to the laws, this is igniting the reuniting of our people. And see, they know what they're doing when they put stuff in like this. And you see, the heathens were afraid of the Black Panther movement because of them reuniting with their own people. They were taking drugs out of the streets. They were like the watchmen of their neighborhoods. You know, you couldn't bring drugs into the neighborhoods unless you went through the Black Panthers, and they didn't allow that stuff. But it wasn't until the CIA got involved, and of course they corrupted the Black Panther movement. They started hiring people, our own people, to break up the Black Panther movement, you know, and those are the kind of people that we call coons. And you have some people who would admit that they did that, but that's what they do. But this is one movement, one awakening, brothers and sisters, that they're not going to be able to stop. The awakening of Yah's chosen people, and our people are getting back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. They can't stop it. They're trying all they can, but they can't. The only thing they can do is just brace for the impact. That's the only thing they can do. Now, something else I want to bring out, and then we're going to move on. Now, I love Malcolm X because he has some really strong pointers. And believe it or not, Malcolm X, he knew who we were as a people. And you can just tell by his debates. But I'm going to tell you the reason why your so-called black activists did not want to go with Malcolm X, because Malcolm X was a realist, because he was going to put the so-called blacks back on top. He was all for black-owned businesses, their own communities, not intermingling with the heathens. And see, this is why they didn't want to go with Malcolm X. This is what they were afraid of. So they went with Martin Luther King, because they knew that if they went with Martin Luther King, you know, he was a house Negro. So basically he would join the blacks with the whites, and that would disarm the blacks, because prior to civil rights, and if you do your research, prior to civil rights, we had more black-owned businesses than ever. But when civil rights happened, that was a cover to disarm the blacks financially. And look where we are now. You know, and that tells you right there that the Most High has never, ever meant for his people to integrate with the heathens. That was never supposed to happen, brothers and sisters. If you do a study on the Israelites, they've never intermingled with the other nations. If they did, that means that they were following after their gods, and that's why they went into slavery. And, you know, we already see the results of this all over the world. And it kills me when so-called blacks are still trying to intermingle with these heathens. It never works. It always fails, because Yah's people were never meant to intermingle with the heathens. Point blank. Now, I normally don't do movie reviews, but I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, this movie I had to do. I could not hold back because there's just too much in this. So let's talk about the Wakanda scene. Now, this Wakanda scene, if you saw the movie, they had that thing set up nice, y'all. But y'all know that's supposed to represent the heavenly kingdom. That's what that is supposed to represent. So in the beginning, when it showed the chariot or the spaceship going home, it opened up this little portal, and then it went right through, and all of a sudden you just saw, it went from like a plain, African plain, people just out with their cattle and stuff, and all of a sudden they went through this little portal, and it just opened up this whole view of Wakanda. And I mean, it was bad, boy. It was bad. I was like, damn, because I wasn't expecting it to look that good. You know, so the director of this movie, he really put a lot of details in that. But getting back to this, they're supposed to represent the heavenly kingdom. And notice that it's all so-called black people that's in this kingdom, that's in this big city. And look at the technology of the city. You see like advanced train rails, and you see all kind of just high advanced equipment all around the city. Look how clean it is. Look how organized it is. And see, this is where we were supposed to be at. in this time and day, brothers and sisters. We were supposed to be on the top of all the nations, but because of the sins of our forefathers, we ended up being at the bottom. And it was never meant for the heathens to rule, but because of the sins of our forefathers, the Most High had to make us jealous. He says, okay, if you don't want to do right, if you don't want to keep my laws, commandments, and statutes, then I'm going to take everything from you and give it to the heathens. And see, now the heathens got all the technology. They've been building all the nice cities around the world. And here we are at the bottom, but all that's getting ready to change because we know that we've made a big mistake. We've learned from the mistakes of our forefathers. And that's why we're not going to make the same mistake again. And it's going to be exactly the way it was supposed to be all this time. We're going to be on the top. We're going to be ruling the city, the whole world. And no heathens are going to be allowed to come in the city. And that's going to be something, saints. Now, if you read in Revelation about the heavenly kingdom that the Most High is going to bring out of heaven, and when you see this scene, this Wakanda scene, it almost puts your mind in that mode. And it's like, wow. I mean, the thing is beautiful. You don't see any kind of flaws in it whatsoever. Now, check out this next scene. Now, this is something I picked up on as well. Notice that T'Challa is in a white robe all the way down to his feet. I find that very interesting that they would have a white robe. Now, this scene was a scene from when they were doing a ceremony on him. You know, they were doing like a burial ceremony. They were starting to bury him in dirt and stuff. And then all of a sudden he woke up. He went to go see his father, T'Chaka, the former king of Wakanda. And he was just wandering through. And look how the scene is all set up. You know, you see the sky, you see the lights in the sky, the stars, how everything is just peaceful and quiet. But what got me was the white robes. And they were very detailed when they used the white robe because the white robes are what the saints are going to wear for their deliverance, for their enduring to the end. And that's what this is indicating right here. I'm going to show you something right quick. Let's go to Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7, I'm going to read verses 13 and 14. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence came they? Now get this, verse 14. And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, these are they which came out of great tribulation. Wow. These are they which came out of great tribulation and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. And that's what you call working out your own salvation with fear and trembling, brothers and sisters. This is powerful. But see, this is what Hollywood is putting in these movies. And it's like they're mocking us right to our face because they know that a lot of our people are so ignorant and they don't want to wake up. And they don't even care who we are. It's like they don't even care the fact that they're Israelites, that they're the bloodline of Israel, which is so sad. Because when you talk to some of our people, they look at you sideways and crazy and want to call you a demon just because you want to get back to your true identity. But yet, you got the heathens who know who we are, and our own people don't even know. That's sad, brothers and sisters. That is just sad. You know, that some of our people are just so caught up in Christianity and stuck in their own minds that they can't even see it. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. I'm going to show y'all something. It says, verse 3, the ox knoweth his owner. And you know, an ox is a pretty dumb animal, brothers and sisters. An ox is not a smart animal at all. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel, get this, but Israel doth not know. It says not only do they not know, but it says my people doth not consider. Do y'all know what that's saying here, saints? My people doth not consider. That means they don't even care. That means they don't give a damn. They don't even care to know who they are. That is crazy. And that's what the Most High is saying here. And when you look at the attitude of our so-called sleeping Israelite brothers and sisters, they're about as dead as a doorknob. You try to tell them who they are, they look at you crazy. You try to tell them about your identity, you want to keep Yah's commandments, laws, and statutes, they looking like you, like you're some demon or something. but yet they want to keep their pagan holidays. They want to engulf in their witchcraft, in their witchery. But they can have it because, unfortunately, some of our people are going to be destroyed. And the Bible says in Zechariah that 2 parts of our people are going to be cut off. And that's just the facts. Can't get around it. So when I saw this scene with Chatilla wearing this white robe in this movie, that right there already sent the signal, because this is pointing to Yah's chosen people. We're going to be in white robes for those who endure to the end. And now you got to admit, that garment that brother got on is pretty tight. You know, whoever were their dressers, their robe costume designers, they did a hell of a good job in designing these robes. But man, I just thought that was really something. And like I stated earlier, you just look in the background, look how peaceful it is. When you look into the sky, you see the little pretty lights and the stars, and it's just calm. Because if you read in Isaiah 14, it says even the fir trees will be at peace. All the trees will be at peace. So that's an indication right there, is that when we get back into rulership, brothers and sisters, the whole world is going to be at peace. But yet you got these fake Khazars over there, these devils over in our land in Jerusalem, claiming to be the Jews. And ain't a single piece on earth right now of them being over there. But you got these heathen pastors that are also constantly saying, oh, we got to give money to Israel. We got to support their cause. No, the Most High is getting ready to nuke their asses. And that's what's going to happen. Because ain't no peace on this earth until Yah's chosen people are back in their land. And that's scripture. You can find that throughout scriptures. It's not going to happen right now with these devils over there in our land. They're going to have to be destroyed first. All right, so here's another Israelite point I want to bring out. And I'm telling you, y'all, there's a lot of points that were brought out that pointed to Israelites. Now, this king right here, he was the so-called king of the Gorilla Mountain tribe. Now, there was a scene in the movie, there was a fight scene with Chatilla when he was getting ready to be initiated king. Before they put the little crown on his head, he had to, anybody who wanted to challenge him could challenge him. So they showed in this scene, it was a short clip, but they showed all the tribes of Wakanda. Now, I picked that up automatically. Now, they didn't say the number of the tribes, but I know what Hollywood was trying to do. So the tribes that they saw indicated the 12 tribes of Israel within Wakanda, because if you read Revelation about the heavenly city, there's going to be 12 gates, and all 12 tribes are going to be living in the holy city with the 12 gates, but each tribe is going to go through their own gate. So in this movie, in this particular scene, it showed where Chatilla was offering any challenges for the throne. So this king of the mountain gorilla tribe offered to challenge him. And so when you see the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. But they went through all the other tribes, and nobody from the other tribes wanted to challenge him. This was the only guy that wanted to challenge him. So I thought that was very interesting how they would show the different tribes of Wakanda. And it was actually 12 of them. See, Hollywood is slick. They know exactly what they're doing. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, I picked that up like right off the back. They actually showed the 12 tribes all throughout Wakanda, which is supposed to represent the heavenly kingdom. And also, when you see the movie, you're going to notice the unique fighting skills between the king and Chatilla, the guy that's of the Gorilla Mountain tribe. You'll see the techniques and their fighting skills, and that represents how our forefathers fought, because our forefathers were tough, brothers and sisters. I mean, they were no joke, and they were some of the most skilled fighters in the world. What do you think they got the battalions from? What do you think they got all these names that they call these armies now? You know, your battalions, your companies, your regiments. They got it from our forefathers. What do you think they got all the marches and all this marching in step and all that? They got it from our forefathers, because we had the best military on the planet. Nobody, no other nations could even compete with the nation of Israel. As long as the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, they were keeping Yah's commandments, laws, and statutes, we were undefeatable, brothers and sisters. No other nations could touch us. Now, while we're on the subject of fighting skills, there's another character in the movie I wanted to bring out. Now, I think I'm pronouncing her name right. I think it's Okoye. But this woman was badass, boy. I mean, she was kicking some butt in this movie. But I'm going to tell you what I picked up with her because now she was the general. She was the leader of all the army or the military of Wakanda. And, she gave the marching orders to the rest of everybody else. So this was T'Challa's right hand person right here. But she reminds me, and when I saw the way she was fighting, the skills and her mentality, the way she presented herself, how disciplined she was, it put me in the mind of the women prophets in the Bible, like Deborah, Hoda, Miriam, and Anna the prophetess. I mean, these people, and I mean, our forefathers, our foremothers in the scriptures, boy, they weren't no joke either, brothers and sisters. And especially Deborah. If you read about Deborah in the Bible, in Judges, and the whole book of Judges is really good, and I wish, and I hate that the fact that they went to having kings, because we were never meant to have kings over us. The Most High meant it to be judges. It's like with Samson, and then before Samson, Deborah. It wasn't until Saul came on the scene and they wanted to be like the other nations. Well, how come we can't be kings? But that's not what the Most High had planned. So the Most High says, okay, I'm going to let you do your thing. And brothers and sisters, our forefathers just started going downhill because they became too proud and arrogant. But I'm not going to get too far in that. But I just want to get back on this scene here, talking about how much butt she was kicking in this movie. And it automatically put me in the mind of our female warriors that we had throughout the scriptures. And Deborah, boy, she was nothing to play with. And then I think about Harriet Tubman as well, too, that came to mind, because if you read the story about Harriet Tubman, oh, she was bad. And did you know that anybody who tried to go back and tell the slave masters, Harriet Tubman would shoot them in the head because she knew that it would give away their position. So she had no other choice but to kill these slaves, because you had some coon slaves that just got too scared. I don't want to go. I want to stay with my master. I love my master. Pow! Shot him in the head. Boy, Harriet Tubman wasn't playing around. So we had many so-called black females who were very powerful and very strong in their leadership. And that's what Okoye represents in this movie. The Bible characters of our foremothers. Now, there's something else I want to bring out too. Now, I've been paying attention to the words that these characters have been saying in the movies, and I'm going to bring some of that out as well too. But there was a scene in this Black Panther movie where T'Challa, he said this, and I'm going to quote it just like he said it. He said, "What happens here determines what happens to the rest of the world." Now, I picked that up, and I was like, wow, okay, there's a message right there. He said it just like that. What happens here determines what happens to the rest of the world. Now, let me bring out some points here, because right now we are the center focus point, for the simple fact that the Most High, the Spirit of the Most High is awakening his people, and we're getting back to Torah. Now we're becoming the focus point. Now, it's not in a pretty way to the heathens, because they know, a lot of them know that their end is coming to a close. And so they're trying to reflect by calling this awakening racist. If you notice that a lot of the videos that you see the heathens responding to our awakening, they're calling us racist. Now, I showed you a clip in the beginning earlier about the Huey P. Newton, how he was trying to reorganize the black movement and get blacks to really go on their own business and everything. And anytime we do that, it's like the heathen nations, they're quick to call us racist, but they can do the same exact thing for thousands of years and it's okay. But when we do it, all of a sudden it's bad. It's dark. We shouldn't be doing that. So when he made that statement, what happens here determines what happens to the rest of the world, is a true statement, because guess what? Everything that is happening right now, brothers and sisters, is a result of Yah's chosen people awakening. Now, these symbolic plagues has just started falling. And right now, it's just drizzling. But it's getting ready to start pouring, because the more we wake up, the more we get back to these laws, commandments, and statutes, it's gonna increase. So yes, what we do right now determines what's going to happen to the rest of the world, because the quicker we get back to these laws, commandments, and statutes, the quicker the Most High is going to destroy this nation. Let me prove it to you. Let me give you a verse. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 11. I'm going to read that to you. It says, "For I am with thee, saith Elohim, to save thee, though I will make a full end." Y'all get that, saints? "I will make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished." So there's some things that the Most High is taking us through. He's correcting us in measure, like a father would chastise his child or discipline his child or his daughter. That's what the Most High is doing. He's taking us through the fire to prepare us. So when all of this is ready to pop off, we're going to be ready. His chosen people will be ready. So yes, what's happening right now is determining what's going to happen to the rest of the world, which they're going to be destroyed. All these nations, these head nations, are getting ready to be destroyed, and they know it. They know it. Let me prove it to you. This is why Hollywood is constantly putting these little hidden messages in these movies, especially this one of all movies. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil," notice it didn't say Satan, it said for the devil, because devil just means deceiver. That's all it means. You can look up the word. Devil means deceiver. Let me read that again. "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." You see, these wicked leaders know that their kingdom is about to come to an end. And this is why Hollywood is putting this stuff out. The Illuminati and everything, they're going crazy right now. They're going crazy just hoping that you won't find out. Because we're going to talk about some hidden messages in this movie, and where they're trying to hide our identity. I'm going to bring that out too. But for us awakened Israelites, we know the deal. We see everything. And everything that these heathens do in the dark is going to come out to the light. So there's nothing that they can hide anyway. So something else I noticed in this movie as well. So look at the guy with the large lip ring. Now, they showed this guy several times throughout the movie. He didn't do too much talking, but Hollywood made it a point to make sure that this guy was shown. Now, this movie is somewhat of a double sword to our people. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, on one hand, if you the type of person that just don't care to know who you are as a people, and you just rather stay asleep, when you watch this movie, to a lot of our so-called black people, when they watch this movie, it would literally convince you that you're a Hamite, because some of the practices they were doing, like the wearing of this lip ring, the way some of the characters were dressing, especially Okoye, because the women wear their head bald in Hamite practices, the general. So on the Hamite side, you saw a lot of the rituals. You saw this example of the lip ring with this guy. So the purpose of Hollywood is they're still trying to convince the so-called black man, black woman, that they're Hamites. You see, and that's the way the whole world views us. They view us as Hamites, as Africans. But for those of us who are awakened and know who we are as a people, on the other side of that sword, Hollywood put a lot of hidden messages in this movie to point to who we really are. But see, if you're not the type of person, if you're not awake, or if you don't care to know who you are, you're not going to pick that up, and you're going to automatically gravitate to the Hamite side. Because in this movie, that's what they did. And I was like, wow, Hollywood is really, really slick, because at the same time, they're portraying to the black masses, so-called black masses, that they're Hamites. But then to the awakening Israelites, it's like they're turning around and using that other sword to mock us with. It says, hey, look at here, we know who you are, but guess what? the rest of the world is not going to believe you because you're Hamites. They're going to believe that you're Hamites. And that's the message I saw in this movie, in this aspect. It's like Hollywood is just like literally mocking us to our faces and says, okay, we're going to put some hidden messages in here to show these blacks who they are as a people. But guess what? The majority of the so-called blacks are not going to believe it. They're not going to catch on to it because they're going to believe that they're Hamites. And see, this is the kind of stuff that Hollywood does throughout their movies. You know, they like to put little hidden messages in there to try to mock us to our face because they know that the rest of the black masses are not going to catch on to it. They're going to look right past it. So that was very interesting. So here this guy is again. It's the same guy. He's just in a different wardrobe. And look how their wardrobes are Hamites. They dress like Hamites. So this is what Hollywood is trying to portray our people. Now, the characters who played in this movie, we know they were all Hebrews, American actors. But what Hollywood loves to do is take our characters and use them to play Hamite characters. So to convince the world that, okay, so these black people that are running around here in America, these so-called black African Americans, no, they're Hamites. That's what they are. They're Hamites. And that's the message that they're trying to portray. But here's the downfall about that, because it's not going to work, because the Most High has already put forward in motion who we are as a people, and he is waking us up by the tens of thousands. So this is a nice try by Hollywood, but it's been long played out. But again, you're going to have some so-called blacks who's going to be convinced when they watch this movie. They're going to come out that movie theater, oh man, I'm really a Hamite. Well, we got it going on, because the way they portrayed the Hamites, they were high in class, the technology and everything. So it's not so bad being a Hamite. You see how slick Hollywood is? They portray it in a way where it just makes you think that, okay, well, maybe it's not so bad being a Hamite, being an African, or being a descendant. But we know better, brothers and sisters. We know that we were sold into slavery by the Hamites. We know that our forefathers were enslaved by the Hamites during the Egyptian slavery of 400 years. I mean, this thing is deep. And these world leaders, they know exactly what they're doing. And if you notice, like I said, the dress, the earrings, the lip rings, the clothes, their rituals, Hollywood was trying to make a valid point that the so-called African American are Hamites. But that's getting ready to be spoiled by the Most High. All right, let me show you another point that I caught in this movie. So now I want to talk about this guy, this character, Erik Killmonger. Now, there's something I picked up, and I'm going to see if you guys picked this up. But did y'all notice that all the characters in Wakanda, that was part of Wakanda, spoke with an African accent? Did y'all notice that? The only person that did not speak with an African accent was Erik Killmonger. Now, I'm going to share some things with you. I'm going to be on this guy for a minute, because there's some words that he said at the end that blew my mind. I was like, okay, man, these folks, these heathens know exactly who we are. But he was the only one in the movie who did not have an African accent. He talked just like I'm talking to you, just straight up, And they kind of made him sound hood a little bit. If you notice in this movie, he kind of sounded hood a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. You can see that hood swag that he had when he was talking. But I thought that was very interesting. Now, let me give you the scoop on Erik Killmonger and what I picked up. Now, this guy is supposed to represent the true Hebrew Israelites. Now, I'm going to explain why, because I picked it up at the very beginning of the movie and in the middle of the movie and then towards the end of the movie. So first of all, let's go back to the beginning when we saw the chariot in the sky, that spaceship. You saw the three little beams under it, the light, and it was blending in with the clouds. So remember when the kids, when they were out on the court playing, well, one of those kids, that was Erik Killmonger when he was a little kid. So as the chariot was leaving towards the middle of the movie, Erik Killmonger ran back up into his apartment up to where his dad was. And his dad was dead. His dad was killed by T'Chaka, which is T'Chilla's father, which would make T'Chilla and Killmonger cousins. But the point that I wanted to make was that Killmonger, Now, in the beginning, it explained when T'Challa was talking to his uncle. His uncle was explaining how Killmonger and his dad got exiled to America. Now, that's supposed to represent the Israelites being sold into slavery into America by the Hamites. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, Hollywood played this thing smooth, but they tried to make it mean something else. But when I picked that up, I was like, wow. So when Killmonger and his dad were exiled from Wakanda, that was an indication that the true Israelites were sold into slavery from Africa into America. Because this guy, Killmonger, was the only guy who was not talking in this African accent. And some of the things that he said towards the end made me believe that this is the projection that Hollywood, the hidden projection that Hollywood was trying to portray. Now, at the end, towards the end of the movie, there was one thing that Killmonger said that really blew my mind. And this was the second great battle between Killmonger and T'Challa. You know, Killmonger was dying, of course, and he wanted to see Wakanda because he never saw it before. He wanted to see the whole land. So T'Challa brought him up on the mountain and showed him the city. But then there's one thing he said that really caught my attention, because T'Challa said that we can heal you, but Erik Killmonger said no. And he said this, and he said it just like this. He says, no, I would rather die, because even my forefathers jumped off the ship, off the slave ships, because they knew that bondage, they knew that death was much better than bondage. Now, he said that, and I'm going to say it again. He told T'Challa that, no, I would rather die, because even my forefathers jumped off overboard on ships, because they knew that death was much better than bondage. I was like, wow. And I was really surprised that Hollywood allowed that part to even be in the movie, because that portrayed exactly our people and what our people went through. That's why I believe that this guy was meant to represent the true Hebrew Israelites. But yet, they looked at him as the villain, as the bad guy. And you see, this is how Hollywood portrays us in these present times. They always portray us as robbers, killers, murderers, rapists. They portray us through media. You know, every time you see a so-called black movie, it's always negative until this one came out, you know. But I'm telling you, y'all, this is something. And when he said those words, it made me realize, I said, you know, these heathen devils, they know who we are, but yet they're putting it in these movies. Now, let's talk about the first fight scene between Erik Killmonger and T'Challa. Now, we know that they was going through this battle. And now what I picked up out of this was Israelites reclaiming their throne, because he actually beat T'Challa. I mean, he beat the hell out of him. And I felt bad for T'Challa. I was kind of like, damn, he's getting his butt kicked. You know, and this guy don't stand a chance against Erik Killmonger. But as they were fighting, Killmonger was the strongest one. Now, it finally ended, and he took T'Challa and threw him off over the edge. And that was it, you know. But the story yet, he survived, of course. But the point I wanted to bring out was that Erik Killmonger represents Yah's people getting their throne back again. We're going to be getting our throne back, and we're going to be kings and priests. We're going to be going back to the kingdom. And this is what Hollywood is like sneaking in. But, you know, they're mocking us with it. They're mocking us with it and showing us and bragging that, hey, the rest of you so-called blacks are like going to catch on to this. You guys are about to get the kingdom, and you don't even give a damn who you are as a people. And notice that right there in Wakanda was supposed to represent the heavenly kingdom, and yet the people who are ruling right now are the heathens. So when the heathens fall, guess what? The Most High is going to set up his kingdom, and we're going to get our inheritance back. So this is what this whole clip is, because at first when I first saw it, I was like, dang, that's crazy. But then I got to thinking, I was like, you know what? Hollywood is really slick. They're slipping in something here. I see a message here. So Erik Killmonger represents the true Israelites reclaiming their inheritance. But yet, they made him a villain because throughout the movie he was supposed to be this bad guy, this villain. And see, this is the way Hollywood is sneaking in because they're trying to portray us as the villain. Because that we're waking up, getting back to Terrell, you getting all these crazy heathen devils getting on video saying, "Oh, you got this Black Hebrew Israelite movement that is going on, and they're so racist." Oh no, we're getting back to our heritage. We're getting back to the laws, commandments, and statutes. And when we do that, brothers and sisters, we are going to be a powerful nation, and no nation on earth will be able to touch us. And these other nations are getting ready to fall, and they know this. So this is why they're sneaking in this little stuff here and there. So I had to bring this out in the movie. This probably was the biggest pointer that I saw in the whole movie about Yah's chosen people reclaiming their inheritance and reclaiming their rulership. That's what it's about. It's about our rulership. We're getting ready to go back into rulership over all the nations. And Erik Killmonger was that exact representation. He went in there, he beat the hell out of the ruling of like the world ruling nation and took the throne. But this time it's going to be the Most High who's going to beat the hell out these nations. And he's going to snatch their thrones, he's going to snatch their rulership from them, and he's going to give the rulership to his people. And we're going to rule over the nations, over all the nations, with a rod of iron. So again, I just wanted to bring that point out, brothers and sisters, because I thought that was very interesting. All right, let's check out this other point I want to bring out. Now, I want you to look at this cast. It's an all-black cast, never done before. Well, I would say go back to Shaka Zulu. Now, Shaka Zulu was an all-black cast, but however, you still had your white characters, you still had your other people in there. And Shaka Zulu didn't have as near as many hidden messages in it as this movie does. So, and I'm trying to think of any other movies, all-black cast movies that I can think of that compares to this one, but I can't think of anyone because this one is really off the chain. So I want you to look at the characters here. Now, notice all the leaders in this movie. They're supposed to represent the 144,000 because the 144,000 are going to be the ruling government body with Yehoshua for all the nations. And then you're going to have your 24 elders. Your 24 elders are all going to comprise of the 12 disciples and the 12 children of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. Or the children, or the physical children of Israel, the 12 of them. So that's what you get your 24 elders from. But if you look at this, they represent the leaders of the nation of Israel. And, I mean, Hollywood, they do things in ways where they try to hide it, but we pick it right out and we see it. And it's right before our eyes, you know. And they're not trying to hide anything no more because they know we're waking up. They know we're getting back to the laws, commandments, and statutes. And like I said earlier, the only thing they can do is just brace it and get ready for the bumpy ride because they're getting ready to fall from their rulership big time. Now, there's another quick point I want to make out too. So remember in the movie where Erik Killmonger, you know, he killed that old heathen dude and he brought his body in because T'Challa and his crew couldn't catch him. But anyway, Erik Killmonger brought that heathen in to prove his loyalty. So they brought him before the king, the current king. And the point that he was making was very interesting because he was claiming before the throne to be the bloodline from the people of Wakanda. But they looked at him like he was crazy. It's like, wait a minute, you're not one of us. You can't be one of us, you know? But the point I want to bring out on this one is the fact that as we're waking up as a people, we are claiming back our heritage. But the world is looking at us like crazy, and they're saying, oh, you guys are not Israelites, you're Hamites. You're not the chosen people of the Most High. You're just some old Hamite, some old African that's just trying to jump on the bandwagon. You know, and you got those old fake-ass Khazars over there in our land that's saying the same thing about us. Oh, they're not the chosen people. How come you're trying to jump on the bandwagon? And that's why I'm going to keep saying that this guy, this Erik Killmonger, represents the true Hebrew Israelites because of his fight and his struggles and what he went through growing up as a child, being exiled to America along with his dad. That's us, brothers and sisters. That is us to the T. So I was like, wow, there's a lot of hidden messages in this movie that points to who we are as a people. I mean, it's something else. And I'm going to be very interested to see the comments from you guys, because I want to see what you picked up. I want to see if you picked some things that I didn't catch, because there's a lot more stuff that I probably missed. I'm just trying to catch all the things that I've noticed in this movie that point to us, because I said that we're going to be hitting this thing hard from an Israelite perspective. And already I've seen a lot of things. And in this scene right here, when Erik Killmonger was before the king, he was claiming his bloodline. He was claiming his holy royalty. I was like, wow. But they didn't want it. At first they were going to deny him. And Erik Killmonger wanted to prove his worth, and challenging the king to a battle. And I'm telling you, when he challenged the king to the battle, he accepted. And Erik Killmonger beat the current king, T'Challa, and took the throne. They had to crown him. And the part where they crowned him at, they hated doing that. You could see one of the leaders shaking as she was putting the necklace over his neck, because they did not want to see this guy crowned king. This is the same way with us right now, brothers and sisters. The heathens do not want to see us back in rulership. They do not want it. And they're going to do all they can to stop us. They're going to put everything in the media negative about us to try to misrepresent us in a bad way. And they do not want us to get back to the kingdom. They do not. And that's why when I see this Erik Killmonger guy, he represents us to the T. I mean, to the T. Now, Hollywood is going to always put their satanic symbolism in these movies. So I want you to look at those ring dials. They use that quite a bit in the movie as well, too. Every time Hollywood does something, they gotta put their spiritual witchery in there. But those ring dials are supposed to represent the sun god Tammuz, the ring dials. Anytime you see those old pictures and you see like the halos over their head, that's supposed to represent the sundial, which is for the sun god Tammuz. But you see, I noticed that too, and I'm pretty sure those are some things that you picked up on. But what I really wanted to show you was T'Challa's general. Now, I couldn't find a picture. The only picture I found was this one when she was flying the spaceship. But there was another part in the movie when she was flying the spaceship. You see how she has her hands out? Well, she had her palms up, and she was doing the demon sign, the devil sign, while she was flying the ship. I noticed that I caught that. But this scene, they showed it where she just had her hands up like that in the beginning. But then there was another part where she was flying that it showed her hands, her palms are up, and she had her little fingers in a way, she was doing that double sign. And I caught that. I was like, oh, Hollywood is slick. They're going to add their stuff in there because, a lot of these actors have sold their souls to the Illuminati. So, and that's what we're dealing with in here. But I just wanted to point out, though, how they just put things to mock us about who we are. And they don't do it, brothers and sisters, to try to help us. They're not doing this because they want us to know who we are. They're doing it because they're mocking us. That's what they're doing, because in their mind, they think that we're never going to get it. And yeah, a lot of our people won't get it, unfortunately. But for the rest of us who awaken, we got it. You see, the heathens, they can't keep anything quiet. They always tell on themselves. So we're going to let the heathens tell on the heathens. Now, there's another point I wanted to bring out, too. I want you to notice how they portray the daughters of Zion in this movie. I mean, they portrayed the daughters of Zion very well. I mean, well kept, well behaved, everything. Disciplined, strong, black woman. That's what I liked about this movie too. But in reality, that's how the daughters of Zion are. Throughout our family, throughout our history, throughout our forefathers, when you study the scriptures, when you read about the daughters of Zion, they were strong people, brothers and sisters. The daughters of Zion did not play around, and that's who made their husbands strong, was the daughters of Zion. So this movie is represented very well with the daughters of Zion, and I picked that up. Now, another thing I picked up in this movie too, now notice how they were going kind of towards the end or towards the middle, they were starting to go through a civil war. See, after T'Challa found out the truth of the betrayal of his cousin being exiled to America along with his dad, things started to happen. You started seeing this civil war start to rise up among Wakanda. Now, this is a representation of what's going on in the world right now, because what's happening right now, all the world leaders are starting to crack up. You got Trump, who's an idiot and who's spewing out all kind of junk out of his mouth like a little child. And all the nations are starting to get angry. And soon, brothers and sisters, it's going to be all-out war. And the Bible says that the Most High is going to bring all these nations. He's going to turn these nations against one another. And next thing you know, they're going to be fighting each other. And then they're going to turn up and look into the sky. They're going to see this black Messiah. And all of a sudden, they're going to try to turn their weapons towards our black Messiah and try to knock him out the sky. And guess what? All hell is going to break loose. And they're going to be completely wiped out, destroyed. There's nothing they can do with our HaMashiach. So this is just some of the things I wanted to point out to you guys. And I told you that I was going to be hitting this hard from an Israelite perspective. So I think I covered quite a bit, but I'm pretty sure there's still some more that I might have missed. So this is where you're going to come in at, guys. I'm very interested to see what you picked up. If you picked up the same things I picked up, maybe you picked up something. But there are a lot of subliminal messages in there towards our people and who we are. But the main point I wanted to share with you, that I said this movie earlier was like a double sword. On one side of the sword, you have Hollywood trying to portray us as Hamites. And on that other side of the sword is Hollywood is sending out these hidden messages that we are Israelites. So I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, it's all there. You just got to pick out the little pieces and connect the dots and everything. So, but with that being said, I hope this was kind of helpful for you to bring out some light. It was kind of like a fun discussion. It's something I've been wanting to do. I normally don't do movie reviews, but this one, I could not hold back. I'm telling you guys, I could not hold back. So make your comments. I want to hear what you have to say so I can interact with some of you guys and everything. So I'm going to leave you with Revelation 14:12. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments of Elohim and have the faith of Yehoshua. And I say shalom and stay strong.